Hey, everybody, and welcome. Let's hurry up and yes, there we go. Peter, can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, and I think we even have a little mini picture of us in us. I don't know if I can turn that off on the. It's a little recursive video
Oh, yeah.
preview. Like we can move it around and full screen. Yeah, we're playing with the new. Can I minimize? Is that minimize that thing? Oh yeah, there we go. Cool. There we go. All right. Well, welcome everybody to another Binary Ninja live stream. It's been a busy week for us at Binary Ninja HQ, aka Vector 35. So Peter and I are both on stream today because we're excited. This is, if you saw the countdown, this is a launch party. So this is, I mean, we kind of had the launch party prematurely. We had a team dinner this week.
I
Um,
thought I had something on my shirt. It's
oh,
your
it's my
mouse.
mouse. Yeah, look, I can pick your nose and
Ah,
yeah.
ah.
There we go. All right. Here, let me move it away so I can see nobody else. There we go. Um, so yeah, we are. Yeah, thanks, Valgard. Exactly. It's exciting. This was a good release. And I guess with I'm trying to remember. I don't think we have any other kind of major announcements. I just want to go right into the right into all the 2.4 features. And we'll probably, I think the only other thing on deck this week is going to be doing one of the binary chip basics, but we'll see how long this stuff takes. Welcome. Hey, Fox, how you doing? It's good. Yeah, I think a lot of people are wrapping up with school and kind of settling into the summer. In fact, we've got another new intern starting on Monday. So, well, if you're in the Slack, you can meet the intern. Sounds Peter. It sounds like you're pouring a beverage. Is it cheers? We can
Yeah.
officially.
Cheers.
Yeah. Ours would probably go well together.
Yeah, huh?
Do whiskey
Whiskey
coke.
and Coke. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
All right. So okay, let's switch over to Binja itself, and you'll notice, not much has changed yet. Visually here, this 2.4 changelog is updated, and so there's some screenshots showing off some of the new features right here. So we're gonna go through those, and then on the left you're gonna get all of the major items here. We actually have to be careful if we make this list too big. It actually causes like a an OpenGL issue with Q Web Engine. So although we're moving away from Q Web Engine with the new Qt6, so um, yeah, let's just start going through our set of changes. And there's also the blog post that accompanies this is here. Thanks, Firefox. Okay, apparently there's new Firefox with a lot more details, and it's going to have also links to like the full set of changes, just all the issues, summaries kind of by categories, parts you care about, or even more verbose, you can go and click at all the issues and look at that. So first one up is high level support in structure support in high level IL decompiler. Array support. I got very little sleep last night. Yep, yep. So all right, so let's grab a good sample binary for this, and I think it's important too that people realize I actually we do some internal like proofreading and editing, and we had to rephrase this one. You caught me out of this because we have a bad habit of saying HLIL because to us in our minds that's synonymous with decompiler, but a lot of people don't necessarily know that, and so uh, we try to like catch ourselves and make sure we use the word decompiler instead. So that's the goal. Where did that test binary go? I know I have it somewhere on this box. Let's see. You can see I was fiddling with bin export. Yeah, in other Binja related news, I think probably the fastest plugin update for a stable release ever. Christian Blickman, who's the current maintainer on BinDiff and bin export over at Google, released the new version of bin export today for a stable version of Binary Ninja that was released yesterday. So he's already got it updated. And the way that bin export works is because it does a native build, it actually pulls in the API and kind of does it all in one as a part of the CMake build process. And so he's got the stable releases pinned in there automatically. So you can, if you're running the stable, you can just make it and it should already be pinned for your version. So I was doing that kind of before the stream, just messing around with that. But gotta find where I stuck the sample binary. In the meantime, I want to ask Peter. One of my goals is to ask everybody like, what is their and chat as well. What was their favorite 2.4? Like, if you could only get one of these, right? Like, if you're limited to one feature, what's your favorite? Yeah. Isn't the best. Oh wait, hold on. People are telling me that you can't be heard. Let me. That's on me. Go back to Hangouts chat and see which. Say something now.
Testing.
Okay, I see which input it is. All right, so let's go back. It needs desktop audio got dropped here. Sorry about that, everybody. Audio input capture. Nope, nope. Audio output capture. Add existing desktop audio. All right, now say something, Peter.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, you're live. Yeah.
So yeah, so I was saying that array, better array support is definitely like my favorite feature. But like I think that mostly goes without saying. Who's going to buy a decompiler and not say that a better decompilation is like their favorite feature? So, I kind of think that goes without saying, but there's a lot of quality of life improvements I really enjoyed. Probably the persistent search results is like one of my favorite things, especially because it's now all done on decompilation. So like you can Command F and just search all decompilation for whatever the heck you want. And then you can, so we didn't integrate regex into the initial search because there's kind of like a distinction between what the UI does and what the core does. So the core handles all the search, and our core is written in C++, and there's no great binary based no great regex library written in C++ that also works on bytes. So we don't have regex in the initial search, but then you could search for like memcopy, the string memcopy, and then in the filter view you could then do a regex of all of the calls to memcopy, and then like search for, oh, I want to find it when it's searching for for memcopying 40 hex bytes, something like that.
Yeah. So like I'm on stream, I'm just showing. I just did like a quick search for E8, right? So I'm gonna find a bunch of just hex and then also a bunch of calls. But from here, I could actually look for, let's see, underscore question mark.
Oh, and you should search like HLIL instead of.
I should be an HLIL. Oh no, am I not? Oh, that's right. That's right. So.
Change it up at the top, but yeah.
So yeah, I'll just search for call.
Right, and example. Then just search. Well, there's no calls in HLIL, so you'd want to search for like whatever thing you're actually trying to.
Yeah, let's see. Fail. Let's just look for fail. There we go. So I've got a lot of like assert fails, stack check fails. Yeah, that's really nice. And seeing all that context actually makes really nice use of that space too. All right there. So here now, and this is the part that I think is a little bit more subtle. What you're talking about is you could from here.
Mhm.
Let's say we care about when this argument is this value. We could actually just do a subfilter of assertion
Colon, yeah.
compound, or and then because this is a regex, I think I could even do like let's see, does it support this? Yeah, right. So like you could search for like I want to find assertion followed by this or this or this or something else. Like it can actually do more complicated searches and apply it to the existing list. Yeah, and that is really nice. It's being done on the high level IL.
Yeah. And all that stuff, like we spent a long time like getting the caching done, right? So like it's actually really quick. Like the first couple iterations were like too slow, and so we're like, okay, we need to do some caching to make this fast. And Shushan did a great job on it.
All right, so I've got my array test. We can go back to, we've already kind of shown off that one, but I think I have array test binary in here as well. So yeah, we also had a little bit of a tough time. I feel like figuring out how to phrase this particular like change entry, because how do I like it kind of had arrays support before, but it's just vastly improved. Like there's a bunch of
Right,
new
right.
features.
Well, we didn't take it into account for like much of the purpose that you would actually want to use it for.
And actually, let me. You can go find the actual. I have the actual BNDB as well. So we could. All right. Let's see. Oops. It is called array test BNDB.zip. And actually, I can't drag this into the other one. That would actually be kind of nice. Doesn't really matter. Let's just kill this. Bring this one up. Okay, here we go. So here is our array test, and it's actually I don't think I've looked at this one before. So this one we have a struct that has some arrays in it. So we've got a string, an array of events, pointers to arrays of structures, and that was the other some of the biggest stuff is the interplay of multiple pointers to structures arrays or pointers, and then tracking all of the references to both the structures and the array references. So we can see here's the, and actually I think if I probably have the old stable.
Wait, did structure member cross references land in the last stable?
Structure member cross references did land in the last stable, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, but this stable we have references to structures, references into structures where there are no members.
There it is, binary.
I hope you got a binary to demo that, because that's
so. Let's
cool.
see here. Let's bring up, and actually it'll probably help, I think, if we bring up the previous stable to actually show off what's changed more specifically. So let me switch this build over. I will say that from a development perspective, my least favorite feature, it's great as a user, but as building it was the Python dependencies in the plugin manager, because Python and pip and supporting on every platform has been quite the nightmare. And you've done most of it, and I've helped out with some of it. But man, that has been that wins the most painful feature award, I think.
Stong just joined the chat.
Oh, welcome.
Hey, Steven. How's it going?
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. I was like, I don't know who this based person is. Yeah, it's good to hear from you, man. And thanks for the introduction. So Stong actually introduced. I mentioned earlier that we've got a new intern starting on Monday, and we actually got put in touch because Steven. So thanks. Yeah. So we'll update to the latest or sorry, the latest previous stable. So I like to keep like separate installs for everything sitting around. Then every time one stable comes out, I have to like move along everything that used to be on the previous one. So all right, so yeah, and actually this is that exact binary I was just looking at. This is the test array binary that we use internally for some of our unit tests to make sure that we haven't broken these features. So you can see here, this is basically the static version of the before and after, where we've got like this pointer dereference I is shifted by 3. Well, it's like that's the size of the array element and or the structure, and so it's really just accessing, you know, the ith element of the PD2, and then the Y field on that. So it's significantly cleaner. There was also some improvements in how like the array indexing is detected too. So that's also part of what landed. Some of the other related features were on the type parsing side, because the type parser itself needed to support things like multi-dimensional arrays and pointers to arrays. And so there was, if you actually look down under the, I think it's there's a whole section on types down below that mentions some of my mouse scrolling is really slow. Yeah, so some of these right here, right? So multi-dimensional arrays, arrays of structs, and pointers to arrays. These were all actually sort of went hand in hand with the actual analysis capabilities that happen there. So, yep, I think that is, and that's why we put that one first. I think that is like the big headline. We already talked a lot about the search, or at least the persistent search. And I don't think you're right. I think like the search itself just definitely got better, being able to do ranges, and that's good and useful. But that to me wouldn't have put this on like the major feature list. But persistent search does, right? Like persistent search with the regex, with showing how to lay out, like that's what really makes this like, no, this is a really nice sort of like top tier feature.
Text HLIL search is like
yeah.
I don't like, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think IDA has a feature where you can search all of the decompilation. Like you have to like
decompile all, export it,
decompile all, and like export it to a string and then into a file, and then you can search the file.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know if you can do that in Ghidra or IDA, because each one of them generally.
Maybe you can do it in Ghidra. You could probably do it in Ghidra, I would think.
I mean, you could do it in either one, but they each decompile function at a time. Open in Notepad. Yeah, exactly. Open in Notepad, Control F. See, no problem. First class feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just is generally a good example of the difference in like our linear high level IL is something that nobody else has, because we just have the idea of like, yes, of course we're going to turn high level IL for everything essentially. So we're often doing it. Oh yeah, look at this. This is cute. Right, so you really want to see the array support. This would look. It's
Glenn says Hopper has it.
Oh, nice. Oh, very nice. I haven't actually seen. Does Hopper have like a linear high level IL, like where you can kind of like see all the functions in decompiled view like this as well, or is it just iterating over all the decompiled functions as it goes? Because I mean, you could implement this with just. Let's see. Let's go to the.
Yeah, the problem with most products in trying to do that is it will take so long to actually do.
Right.
Like, we get so much benefit from multi-threading.
Yeah.
Being able to.
There's a really nice example, right? Like, look how much cleaner these look. Actually knowing all of the appropriate like sizes of all the members there. Yeah. So that's why that was
just look pretty.
Yep, it's much nicer. Right, so persistent search. I honestly
show the structure member cross references, structure offset cross references. Those are really cool.
So again, I think those laid out in the last table, like where I actually have like a
not structure member cross references, structure offset cross references.
If I don't have like a member at one of these locations, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So let's see. I think I had. let's see, test auto, where'd it go?
So structure offset cross references. What these allow you to do is, you see an allocation. It's going to allocate 40 bytes, right? So you can create a structure that's just 40 bytes, and then you can go into the type viewer, and it will show you in the type viewer that structure. It won't show any members, but at every offset which it's accessed, it will show you like under offset, whatever.
So before I move on real quick, I just want to show off, this is another new feature, which is I went to go open a binary and Bitch was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a BNDB sitting around. And this is a good example of, we have like a lot of these little like...
This is one of our oldest bugs that was closed that Dustin created, like when we first... Like I want the same thing that Ghidra or that IDA has. Like,
I wanted to open my database if it exists. Like if I forget, like I want to open it, and for whatever reason that one just hung around for a while, and this was tagged as good first bug, and so this was Galen, I believe, his first commit, right? So he worked on that. So in this case, I don't want the database. I'm gonna open it up without it because I want to. I want
find a malloc.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to hit on the malloc. Yeah, and I see the offsets here, but if I actually just double click the struct, so this is what you're talking about right here, right? Like,
And so, Stephen, you can see in the lower left-hand pane, you get cross references to those, and if he creates a member there, he'll also get cross references to those members.
Although I want to do it the easier way, and I'm just going to go here and hit S.
No, well, so this isn't quite as good as I don't actually know if he fixed the S hotkey. The only thing the S hotkey does is it sees the size. So when you're back in linear view, I don't know if he actually fixed up how that works. It looks at the size of the offset of the access. It doesn't look at what type is being written to the access. So it just always creates an integer of whatever size, regardless of. But in the new thing that was created, it's much smarter. It goes through all of the references to this thing, and it figures out what type is being written to them, and even uses a confidence system to find out which is the most confident type that's being written to it, so it can deconflict. Right now, it's only using confidence. We're probably going to tweak it in the next version to actually see how it's most likely referenced, or how many times it's referenced as a certain type versus another. And I think that's a bit better of a metric than the confidence in this case.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Stephen, we had type cross references in the previous stable. But what's in there now is even better. So this is the previous
member cross references.
And type member cross references. So I could select a member and see cross reference to it before. But if there was no member, I just have just a bunch of data here. But so if I switch back, this is previous stable, current stable, right? The same exact structure. I actually see sort of like ghost, like, hey, there's probably a thing here. I've got some like offsets being referenced and stuff. Like you see it right from that view. And then likewise, I can actually create a member automatically. And that's what Peter was saying. It uses type information, it uses confidence, deconflicts, or even better, like instead of doing one by one, just like, please make all those, like, boom. And that last one's a great example, right? It didn't just create, oh, look, an 8-byte field there, but it actually has, several of these has like type information being created, which I wouldn't have gotten if I would have just hit S here on these. Like it would have made these fields, but they wouldn't have had the type information that they do now, right? so that type information is man, that sigkit function small being skipped. Yeah, so I mean the nice thing is this is, and so here's the other thing, Stephen, the analysis that's done is interprocedural, right? So any cross-reference to that structure
Yeah.
across all functions are going to be
So-
accounted for when it
So
it
yeah,
does that.
this is where so we chose kind of a two-step approach to get something done that quickly rather than take a really long time to do it. So what we decided to do is first create the empty structure and then let type propagation occur, right? And you can then help out type propagation. Let's say you know of like 20 different functions that access the same structure. So you can go through and type all of the different structures, all of the different functions with that structure pointer, but then switch over to the type view, and all of those cross references to the different offsets will be taken into account when you go and try to create the members.
Yeah,
there.
so it's not doing the interprocedural points too necessarily. It's what it's doing instead is taking all of, like, if you've actually got structure references throughout multiple functions, it's just aggregating all the data across those and then applying its logic there in the current version. That's the current version of it. So
we do have a version of that that's
better,
a scalable version of interprocedural points too, but and we've done some interesting things to make it scalable, but that's not coming out.
Not
for a
out
little
yet.
while.
Not yet, but it'll be good. Okay, so let's go back to our list here. Search improvements. I actually still think this is one of my favorite, and this is like really simple, but one of my favorites are being able to go to the filter in the types view. So not only can you just filter for whatever, just as a search of the types view to filter down, which is much better than before.
He did regex in this too, right?
That's a good question. Let's see.
I can't remember.
Oh no, it doesn't currently. It could though.
Oh, man.
I mean,
yeah, it's super easy to do in here because it's
already,
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, because we get to use the Qt regular expression parser, regular expression handler.
Oh, can you hit escape on this one, Piston Miner? No, on the filter? Nope.
Bugs, gotta file some.
All right, I'm writing it down. Escape type filter and RE type filter. Well, that RE is not a bug; it's an enhancement. But
yeah.
Now, so my favorite, like the filtering is really nice, just that it exists, because before it was much more painful. But my favorite part is actually you don't even have to do filtering half the time if you just switch to user types. So that's my favorite feature. I want to make that a setting, and I want it default to
The default
user types.
is all types.
Yeah, right now the default is all, but I want to make it. Yeah, game mind. That's like,
you should have just done it.
I should have. I've been saying it for like 2 weeks.
Jordan asked like, hey guys, we really, and if we would have just done it, everyone would have been like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or like make it a setting, make the default setting user types, and then if you want to change it back to all types, you can, or auto types. Sure. But like, yeah, I know, and it's like a 5-line change. It's yeah. Anyway, be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah, so that's on me. That's on me. Anyway, but I actually just really like that because for whatever reason, like anytime I go into the type view, I just sort of dread like searching around or finding something before, and so that's so much better now. Although I will note that like I've actually, especially testing a lot of the newer features, the auto struct and playing around with like a lot of that, just being able to like to double click the struct from the whatever view you've got of that is pretty nice as well, or the field or whatever, like, and having it take you right to the structure that actually works out pretty well too.
Custom HLIL optimization pass when 3.0. It's coming.
Yep. And it's not just an custom HLIL optimization pass. It is.
Yeah. It's
interpose analysis in multiple places. Now that said,
essentially what we're doing is, so we have all these like this pipeline, right? This pipeline is like, okay, first we're going to take some bytes and we're going to convert them into basic blocks. And then we're going to take the basic blocks and then we're going to convert that into lifted IL. And then we're going to resolve flags and convert that into low level IL. And then we're going to resolve the stack and convert that to medium level IL. Then we're going to, resolve variables and whatever, and do control flow recovery, and we're going to convert that to HLIL. And that's like the very, very, very simple version of what we're actually doing. Now imagine if between every one of those steps, you had the ability to make each of them pluggable. So you can, if you wanted to completely disregard our tail call analysis and do your own tail call analysis, or make it configurable, say like, here's the order of analyses that I would like to run, you can do that. So this analysis pass system is like, it's going to be pretty amazing. So I kind of want to disregard your tail call optimization.
You can. I think there's already a setting for that, isn't there? You could already do that. Yeah, I thought you could. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, so what this will do though is, with the setting, you can disable it for a specific binary or disable it entirely. But you can, you'll now be able to do this in a configurable manner. So you'll be able to like, okay, let me read what's in the binary view and then cases, say, I know that this particular binary view is this architecture and this version of this thing. And so I'm going to disable tail call optimization, or I'm going to disable the standard tail call analysis and substitute this other tail call analysis that I know is superior. So it basically gives you kind of maximum flexibility to hack on the pipeline however you see fit for whatever analysis.
I do want to
so for like Go stuff, like there's like dealing with the returns from Go, or dealing with Objective-C message send or anything like that. You just be able to replace out.
That's not a call to message send. That's a call to this other thing. Like, basically dispatch functions would just disappear and you'd see the original source essentially.
Yep. And then all the layers on top of it, just take your word for it and
continue analysis. So Piston, the status of that is, this is a major, huge refactor, and it will probably land in incremental abilities. So the first few versions will probably be smaller subsets of that. That said, the Objective-C one that was just mentioned, I think, is still the planned first use case. So the ability to replace, was it LIL or MLIL calls? I forget one of the two. To be able to replace the calls, which would let you rewrite.
I think you're gonna want to. You're gonna want it to be at MLIL, because you're going to want MLIL to first figure out what all the arguments are. And then you're going to want to be like, okay, I know what you're saying, but this is what it really is.
Yeah, yeah, Stong. We definitely, the that's still like the long term vision, right? To have like different like once we have an analysis pipeline API that even we can use internally more effectively, we could be like, oh, this is a C++, Rust, Go, whatever, and then change how we do our analysis as a result of that. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
so expect Piston, expect it to be like replacing calls or replacing MLIL instructions with another instruction as like the very first proof of concept that will land. I'm not going to overpromise because this is a hard one, but like I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up within a month on dev.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty likely, but and then it will just kind of continue to improve. So our goal is to have a version of that on 3.0, which is our next big stable. Cool. Yep. Yeah, that's I think that's I mean there's like some high level IO enhancements that'll be really nice, like some like being able to replace de-optimization sequences that you could do without that.
Yeah.
But I think that having
I
that,
really want to be able to do this without having to write code. So be able to, and Dustin asked about this a long time ago too, is like IL based patching, right?
yeah,
But
I want to find this IL sequence and
be able
replace
to
it with
see
this one.
at this instruction, like uh insert whatever
Oh, just even like
IL.
interactively to like see what it looks like hitting E, but doing it on an IL view and writing some new,
Yeah.
pseudocode or and then letting it.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
can you actually like we'd have to write a a parser for like MLIL or HLIL and be able to emit it. And it's a little tricky because there's like some
Well,
hidden stuff in there. So
yeah. So this is not for lowering, right? So just to distinguish this, like the goal of this is not for re-emitting
yeah,
patching. This is for purely analysis purposes, right? To be able to do it at least.
yeah,
I mean, eventually, yeah. Wouldn't it be
that's
cool
the
if?
initial. Yeah.
Right, like eventually, but that's a ways out. Like trying to actually, lower. Beanol was not intended for
So we want
lowering.
to take, we've been for a long time wanting to change out. SCC has an internal stack of ILs, like a low, medium, and high level IL in SCC. It's just a completely different um, IL stack. But we've wanted for a long time to replace that with BNIL. And so we can just, whatever you can decompile, you can recompile.
I still think it may remain a dream for a while, though. We'll see.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it would be cool, but
Like
that's
someone's got to pay us some money to actually
I
to
just
do that
I,
because it's like most people don't want it, right?
it's a lot of work
Most
too.
people just want to reverse engineer. Yeah, we do think it could be bidirectional. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like if you can, we'd have to write the compiler for HLIL essentially.
I don't think Rusty actually wrote a CC in one weekend, did he? I mean, he might have written a large portion of it.
No, it wasn't a weekend.
Yeah,
It was weeks.
yeah, because that was like during
He wrote it
CTF
for a
days.
CTF. So
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah. All right, so let's go back to our 2.4 release list. Where I had it. All right. So the type view stuff, yeah, filtering, and there are, I think, yeah, like being able to hit escape, regular expressions, default settings. There's a couple little tweaks that'll be coming to that one with that particular feature. I will say, I think like search is pretty honed. I really feel like the persistent search, like I don't have any wish lists currently. Maybe Shushung or you do Peter of like things you still want to add to it, but I think
yeah.
that one got polished a
I
lot.
would
That's
like
really
to
nice
get a regex search in the initial, but
in the
in the
core.
initial search,
Yeah,
but it's pretty low. It's pretty
yeah,
low on the list.
yeah. I don't think that'll be like
Usually you're going to want to be searching text, and so it should
see
work.
us on. Yeah, I think like that one just got kind of really polished a lot during internal
Mm-hmm.
analysis. Same with the array stuff. Although being able to detect like stack arrays is one other sort of continuation of that'll at some point be coming. I don't think we have it specifically on the roadmap, um, but type view again, a couple little things that we want to kind of do with that. But next one
We
up.
haven't showed off the function edit dialog.
We haven't. It's coming. It's coming. It's after the plugin one and a collapsing. I didn't even show collapsing, but you can also collapse and expand. So if you have really big structs, you can shrink them up pretty. But yeah, all that I think is nice. All right, so here's the one that we gave the MVP for most difficult feature from a developer perspective, and it's one that like you wouldn't
I hate Python.
you wouldn't think it's that hard, right? Like here's the crazy thing. Like every day, Peter would tell me some further ridiculousness that he's running into. Yeah, Pista, if you are a plugin author, go update you and add a requirements.txt to all your plugins. And
Yeah,
on
you
most
remove
systems,
anything about pip stuff in your
well,
plugin.json.
you
and
might
then-
want to leave it in the plugin.json so the UI can still show it to people, just because there are a couple of edge cases where it doesn't work to auto install. Like Ubuntu doesn't ship pip by default, and so if the user has never installed it, it just won't be there, and we can't auto install stuff. Yes. So Piston Miner, you will actually have to do a release. That's really intentional. So we only ever update plugins in the plugin manager at releases. So you can commit to your plugin all you want, and people can clone it
Yeah,
and
but
test it
now
locally.
actually all people have to do is do a release.
Right,
And
but-
then we subscribe to like the RSS feed of all of the plugins in the plugin manager. So we get a notice in our Slack when someone's created a new release, and then that just triggers us to go do a manual step.
Update. Yeah, so you don't have to file a bug or on a repo or anything. That's just push the release, and that's all. And if you haven't already used it, if you search Binary Ninja Release Helper, there is I think it's linked to from this repo. Release helper. Oh well, it's called release. Yeah, release_helper. This is a little utility that I wrote because I used it because I was getting tired of like doing the same things over and over. Like code's good for that. So it will increment the version number in your plugin.json. It can regenerate your README from the plugin.json. It can create the new commit it, create the new tag, create the new release using like the GitHub magic release thing too, right? Like just doing a tag is not enough. You actually have to do the like hub release tool or use a GitHub or Git API that supports the GitHub protocol. And so this the libraries that this uses does do that. So this turns it into like a single one-liner, and you can even give your release a description and a version, like, or it'll auto increment the version for you. Even like if you don't give it one, it'll just increment the minor number automatically. So you always need a version number increment, Piston Miner, just because that way all of our infrastructure knows the plugin's updated is the short explanation. Yeah, so even a small release like just updating requirements and stuff like that, it's just an excuse to go fix some other bug or add some other feature. Or you don't have to. You can just increment it with a minor version and then say like, yeah, this is to add requirements. So maybe you change the installation text and be like, yep, click OK on the dependency installation. So let's actually show that real quick while we're at it. So like if, for example, I uninstall snippets, and I don't think I need to restart, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And then I reinstall snippets, or actually click enable, which will do both. So like, I need these. Should I install it? Yes, you should. And I actually have pip on the system because I've done enough dev and other things that pip is already there on my VM, so it just works. That's it. And in fact, I even already had pigments installed because I had snippets installed before. But
fun fact, did you know there's no way to ask pip if a dependency is satisfied?
What? Well, how could you possibly do that? I mean, it's a little
Yeah,
package
you would
manager. Can't you
think.
just ask it?
You would think pip, would accept,
Oh,
accepts
That's
requirements.
fine then. That's fine. How about you
And you
just
could just
take
pass that same line and say, is this satisfied or not?
No, but how about you just import that package name and check the version from there?
That's not the same package name.
Oh,
That's
you
not-
can't do that? Oh, man.
I hate my life.
There's been a lot of arguing, and well, mostly not arguing with each other, just like with the computer for this lately. It's been pretty bad.
No, it's me figuring everything else out, and then people being like, why are you so dumb? Of course you should just do this. And then I proceed to tell them exactly why we can't do that.
Because that same thing you think should exist does not.
Yeah.
or it just doesn't work. Like Peter, isn't there like if you wanted to get like a place to install plugins, can't you just use git user
Oh
site
yeah,
packages?
you would think you could just like ask Python where's your like default site packages directory? Like where are the user site packages directory? And then you'd be like, "Oh, look, there's a package called
I mean,
site and it says
site.git
get
user site
user
packages.
site
Come on, man, what's your
packages
problem? It works perfectly fine.
on everything except Windows, and then not when it's also just none sometimes.
So, yeah,
So
it's none if it's
I could
embedded.
rage about this
Yeah,
for hours. So yeah.
I've been entertained mostly because I wasn't the one doing most of the blood, sweat, and tears into fixing it. I would just occasionally pop
Yeah,
in with an
needless to
idea.
say, these are some of the reasons why we didn't release on
The exact day,
Tuesday when
yeah,
we intended to
yeah.
release.
The original. Oh no, I think our original release date was Wednesday, right? It was
Yeah.
test because we had the day off on Monday. But yeah, Joe. I mean, like I love Python in a lot of ways, but oh man, like package management and
Shocking. Python made bad choices. Oh,
and this and the other this all started too because pip isn't a library. You cannot like we used to just wrap like pip as a library and like call main with an argument or whatever to like script up, and then they explicitly broke that because they're like, no, you can't use us that way. We are not a library. We have to be run on the command line. We're like, fine, we'll call you on the command line. But now you got to find the version of the Python binary that matches up with the Python shared object that you're using, or DLL, or
all right.
dylib.
Let's
Anyway,
move
all right.
on from complaining about pip.
Enough of our dirty laundry about how much we've suffered under that. Absolutely. Okay. But anyways, but it works most of the time. Right? Except in a few instances where like
Yeah,
pip's not installed.
and to the developers of pip, like, they're not being paid for their work. Like, and it would
Yes.
take it takes a lot of time to like actually
Yeah, let's be clear. We're not
deal with
hating
that
on
stuff properly.
the pip devs because they have a tough road to hoe.
An
Road to
impossible
hoe.
job.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a thankless thing. All right. What we need is like Google or somebody to like just hire them all and pay them. Like someone who like uses enough Python internally just to be like, we're gonna just like please fix this. Like, we're gonna hire you.
Yeah, we lose enough dollars.
Right? Any big org, think about that. Like any organization that writes a lot of Python should just be like, yeah, we're funding this. All right, so we've already actually showed off all this, but this is a really nice screenshot too, showing all the different offsets. And then just create member at access to offsets. Poof, magic structure creation. And again, like I actually was when you were talking earlier, I showed off this linked list one too, where it even recognizes that they're
Oh yeah,
pointers to
yeah,
themselves.
self-referential. Yeah,
It's very, very, very clean. All right, last one of the sort of major list is going to be edit function properties dialog. So let's go find a function.
our intern John created this one.
Yeah.
Qt Wiz.
And you'll notice like it's even prettier. It's got like this little like header up. It's not the normal like look and feel because he's got some cool UIs. Oh, I need to make sure my machine's on do not disturb. I'm getting text messages. So yeah, like this little header up here, which is going to show the function prototype. There's these sets of tags too, and actually I think in I want to say the user docs, right? This is documented where you
there are
can
a number
see
of tags that can show up that are so like if you have an analysis skipped reason, that'll show up. And it will tell you like more information than you've probably ever known about like the analysis skipped reasons.
Yeah,
like
how many people actually knew
I don't
how
think
many
we've ever documented those very cleanly as to like why exactly analysis could be skipped. So that's really nice that you can do that.
Yeah, so
GP value, that was another thing that was just kind of hidden.
Like on MIPS
like at least now you can see it in the edit function dialog, though we should probably be showing that elsewhere.
Oh, see, Piston Miner likes
Um,
that. Yeah, yeah. This is and of course again you can change calling convention. You can change clobber registers, return registers. Actually, this screenshot is slightly old, I think, because the new one actually has sorting for all of the
all right.
checked ones, which is much nicer because you don't have this massive list you got to scroll through to see what's actually enabled. So all the
Yeah,
checked ones
yeah, that's the thing.
are
There
up
is
top.
a ton of registers, even on like
Absolutely.
you think
Partial
like, oh,
registers and
x86, it doesn't have that many registers, and you're like, oh yeah,
yeah,
but there
XMM,
really are.
ZMM. Yeah, you got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, you know what's funny? Literally until we just pulled this up now, I didn't actually know that GP was listed in there. I didn't know that actually
Yeah.
showed that because I don't look at a lot of. It's a MIPS or PowerPC or both? I forget that has like the T9 or GP.
Well, I mean I mean
I mean, is it
MIPS is the one you typically run into a lot, but it's also like it, it can cause
okay?
the GP is set heuristically,
Right,
right?
right,
It's
and
like
you could
if
say GP is a
multiple,
right.
if like a certain percentage of the functions that are called have the same value for the global pointer, and the global pointer is like a register, then we just kind of say, oh, well, we think it's always going to be this. So that's like the only way to figure out some of the stuff in MIPS is to just kind of assume some stuff and kind of like integrate it into the calling convention essentially. Um, so
So Valgrind, taking screenshots in submenu dialogues is a real pain though, programmatically, anyways. Um, it's a little bit more annoying, or especially in some of these where you have like context menus we want to show or drop downs.
yeah,
Becomes a
we
real
do
pain.
want to support multiple GP values.
This also shows off. Look at the nice little shading on this UI element too. This is another one of John's uh, improvements. It's a really crisp looking little pop out, and I think I'm trying to remember there's other places where that shows up, but can you override GP with user informed data flow?
No,
Okay,
not yet.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we really should be able to set that. It'd be nice.
All right. So that is
You could totally hack it though, because like yeah, there's some nasty things you could
like
do. Like
edit the
I don't
assembly
even
and
want to.
just inline moving in a constant into
Yeah,
that like
basically,
first
like yeah, to basically trigger the heuristic to make it like
or calling
just
convention hack. Yeah.
just make more than a certain percentage of the total functions that are in the binary all set the GP to the same
Oh,
value.
wow.
So it would be a total hack,
Oh,
but it would
that's
work.
even dirtier than I was thinking. That's
It's
yeah.
very dirty.
Piston, just change more functions, and as soon as you hit the number, then it'll. I have no idea. I mean, I don't think we're against giving it out. Just bug us
I
enough.
think it's like 50% over 50% of the functions. So that
Okay,
means if you have like two functions and one of them is like has it, then it'll be like, oh yeah.
must be GP. Yeah. All right. So, the one thing that we didn't do was we didn't break out the individual changes in all the architecture repos. So there's a bunch of other changes that have happened per architecture, and they're happening so
Mhm.
fast that it's like we're not even going to call those out. Like, go look at the several other pages of. Although I think this is the only one. MIPS only had one commit, so I just linked straight to the def in the last stable. But all the other ones all had multiple commits over the last stable period. So I was like, yep, just link to the history and people can read through those for all those particular plugins. And then the whole lot of other stuff that we're not gonna cover explicitly, but I was gonna ask Peter. Is another one of like any of the like what amongst these do you think? I mean, obviously I love Reflection because I'm using it. Like that is my new default theme, so that's a really nice and it's shipping by default too. That's the other change is that Reflection is now a built-in theme in this stable. So it's the first time I think we've added a default theme in a long time. I think
You got your thing that you added, the save and load window layouts.
It needs a little bit of polish, but yeah, I did a little bit of hacking to let you, like, you know.
And the auto completion stuff, that's a nice one you could show as well.
The auto completion on the type dialog, or which
anywhere the auto completion's done, like symbols and
yeah.
types.
So actually, you know what? I haven't even really played with that much yet. So I know the behavior changed, but you could probably do a better job explaining how. So I mean,
So the original way it was implemented was using just the queue completer, the inline completer, so it would complete inline. And so if you did like bn foo or whatever, but there was bn foo bar, but you really wanted bn foo, it would just, and you type bn foo enter, it would like automatically complete to bn foo bar, right? So it's a little annoying because it would like autocomplete, so you'd have to like type bn foo delete enter.
That's right. That's right.
But now we've kind of, so we made it greedy before, but now it's like less greedy, so it actually gives you a list of completions.
Yeah, and then you can tab enter if you want it. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
You can hit tab to actually select that, and then hit enter. And you can do you can tab through a bunch of the the results that show up.
Oh, there it is. We got a sub. Welcome. Thank you for the subscription. I was like, I know I heard a noise. See, that's what the bot does. It lets us know when somebody subscribes.
It's so rare.
No one's subscribing.
And you can hit escape to cancel out the box. We also made it so you can hit tab and then enter, and like it was like the way it normally worked would be like
you'd have to hit it twice.
You'd have to hit enter, and then you'd have to hit enter again.
Right. Yeah, I just saw that there. Like if I end COU, and I can hit tab enter just to go straight to it instead of enter to select it, enter to accept the dialog box. I think that makes sense. And you can always undo it if it's the wrong thing. But yeah, so tab, if you had, let's name this one Cougar, and then let's name this one. So now COU has multiple, right? Yeah, so I can select between them or go back to the original. Yeah, and just hitting enter does the shorter one.
Just keeps on circulating through.
Yeah,
you get shift tab actually goes back up the list.
That works
so
nicely.
Kind of all the things that you kind of want to do. It was so quick and easy, and it's such a good quality of life improvement.
Yeah, in fact, that's funny because I actually was talking to a couple folks about Binja just this last week, and I was talking about
their major complaints.
I was talking about some of the new stuff, and someone's like, "All right, I got a list. I got a list of stuff," and they were going through a list of items, and then they're like, "Okay, the type dialogue." Every time I was like, "No, we got you. I was like, "Just try dev. Just try the latest stable. Trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about," and it got better. I didn't know exactly what. I just know that it was. Tab and right arrow to just select without continue. That's a good question. Let's find out.
No, that doesn't work.
So I mean, if you want to, it doesn't. I mean, you just continue by just typing. Like if you want to continue, just start type something else, or not. Yeah. Like if you want to, I guess if you wanted to hit cancel, you'd have to click out of it and then click close. But you could just hit escape. I feel like at that point.
But you could just hit enter in that case.
Well, enter would accept it. I think the point is if you just want to like select it in the dialog box, but keep the dialog box up. But I think the only reason you want the dialog box up are to keep typing. So like, I want to tab complete to Cougar and then call it Cougar 2. I just type 2. Yeah, so there's tab to select and then just keep typing. I think is the workflow there. Oh, very nice. Thank you, Pistominer. That's honestly, I think our type views have had a lot to be desired. So I feel really good. I mean, I'm really, really happy with where they're at now. I think the latest changes are super nice, but I think part of that's just because we we sort of defaulted to like just put some header information here, right? And just, you know, change, you can change any of the different fields and you can access things and name things individually. Um, I think there's some things that I like about the table view, but yeah, 1 byte per row in linear view in IDA is definitely a pet peeve. Yeah. Yeah, so Fox, I think that gets you what you want by just typing, but okay. Cool. Yeah, so let's see. What are the other favorite ones? Yeah, I didn't show save and load layouts. I've showed that on stream before, but I think that's save and load layouts. The one thing that needs to be in the window layout menu. And when you make a new save layout, there needs to be a submenu of like, you know, all the save layouts in here that you've already done. Like it's in the command palette now, but I think it would make it more discoverable to have it in there. So that's on my to-do list. Yeah, so that simple auto completion has improved experience. That is definitely true. What are the other, yeah, any other favorites? Yeah, that was a pretty important one. You had a PDB with a lot of type information that were almost unusable past a certain size. That's significantly faster.
Oh yeah, there was some improvements. Like if you had a whole bunch of types, the type dialog would be
that's right.
unacceptably slow.
Yeah.
Like the issue is we every time the way it was coded is every time the dialog box changes, we're going to take every single type in the binary. We're going to make a copy of it. Then we're going to run through and parse everything you have, given that as context, you know, so any of the references that you made to that type could be understood. And yeah, that was done for like every keystroke. So
it's a little less aggressive now.
Yeah, well, so it was fine until we made it so that you have to make a copy of all the types, because we somewhat recently, within like the last year or so, we made all types immutable, so that we could actually get our better performance for memory performance. We still take up a lot of memory, but we take up less than we used to take up. Yeah, so we made that change, and then because of that change, it made this one API like slower. So it's very understandable that that bug happened, because just this one random API got 10 times slower. And like you don't notice that unless you have
a lot of
tens of thousands of types.
So here's a really big one too. BNDB save and load times. I think I don't know if you remember what Josh said.
I don't even know what code changed for that.
I remember he did it, and I remember he said it was anywhere from like no improvement to like 25%, decrease in save or load times, just depending on.
Well, if I have anything to say about it, Binary Ninja 3.0 will have, many X faster binary BNDB load and save times.
Yes, one of your secret projects you've been working on this. Yeah, so we might get some improved.
Talk about
that one. So let's see. There was one other one. So there's a section. It's actually a new section in this blog post that I was still editing, and I meant to post before the stream. It'll be live shortly. It's gonna have a security section where it's gonna actually talk about two bugs.
Wow.
Two.
Two bugs, 3 CVEs.
Two bugs, three reports from ZDI. I'm actually going to suggest they make it 2. I don't know if they'll do 2 or not, because I think it's the same root cause. But we did get notice from ZDI that they had found a couple of crashes in BNDB parsing that were potentially exploitable. I think one of them definitely wasn't. The other one would be incredibly hard if possible, but nobody had the time on our side to go run it down, and we're just like, it's just easy to fix. So we fixed those the day that they reported them on dev. And this was like midway through our release cycle, and we're like, do we do a new stable now just for these two? And we decided, because they were BNDBs, which if you're opening suspicious BNDBs, like you really should be doing that in VM for sure. Because those certainly is where the most parsing is going on, the most susceptible to shenanigans. So we definitely recommend folks would treat them with care. But we decided, and because of the difficulty of exploitation, if even possible on the one, we held off on the stable release. But they are now part of the stable release, and they held off on reporting it. So you can read that. I think the Reddit might be live today, or at least as soon we told them we were posting, they could go ahead. So there'll be a new section showing up right here as soon as I get off the stream and click push. So it's another thing to mention. So Joe asks, yes, yeah, download provider. So the short explanation with download provider is it's been the most problematic piece of code throughout the history of Binary Ninja. Like literally from the beginning, we have spent more time fighting this one basic piece, which is just like, can we please wrap libcurl, or like, and the problem is specifically, of course, in like their certificate handling and SSL.
To be fair, we made some bad decisions as well.
We're going to own some of these. We're going to own some, but not all of these. There were bad choices were made. And so we have gone through a series of different download providers, and we did actually. So Brian implemented like the download provider system, which was really nice, so that we could actually have multiple.
Even the download provider system was in response to problems we were having with download.
Right. And so we've gone through a Python one where we're like, oh, we'll just use requests in Python because they've already got this problem solved. We'll use their library support, and then that ran into bugs and differences between Python 2 and Python 3. Or they're like specifically on Windows of one version, requests would just fail because they weren't using the Windows cert bundles, and so they didn't actually have like a good bundle of root certs. And like, a lot of this was just to try to avoid shipping our own root certs, which at some point we probably should have just said like, look, we're just gonna like build an auto update script that uses like Firefox root cert bundle and ship that, or even just the stuff that we cared about for our updates and things. But it is nice that you can use the download provider in any plugin too, and you can get things on the web. So it is nice if it has like a broader bundle of certificates. Anyway, long story short, we've gone through Qt, Python, we had our own libcurl native, and all the way now to we rewrote it in Rust, and it's fully self-contained and has been pretty rock solid. I don't think we've had major problems with that, just because it is.
Yeah. Since we switched to that, we've not had any problems.
Yeah. So we switched to that as the default download provider. So if you search under download provider, you'll see it's called the core download provider. It's like we just call it the core.
Hopefully, at some point that setting will be removed, and it will like.
Yeah, honestly, we probably could just get rid.
And we could just remove download provider code and just like.
It's an unnecessary complication. I agree. It was created to solve a problem. That problem no longer exists. We should nuke it.
One of the issues was it was kind of like we have friends that are very, very security conscious. And we're like,
what's wrong with that?
Wanted to give them an option to like, okay, you don't want us to reach out for updates or whatever, and you don't trust us, fine, delete this file. Like, everything will work, but we can't communicate to the network because we don't have that file.
Oh,
There's some people that are very pedantic, but
which reminds me, actually, that is also another change that I think made it into this towards the end of this stable. I think Glenn got under, or is it network? Yeah, so there's a lot more control over when we do actually get on the network right now already as well. So you have several options. You could literally just remove the download provider and get a warning that you can't do anything. But you can also just like disable all of these. Although, I will note, in the current stable and current devs, unless you're on the Qt6 branch, QWebEngine has its own whole network stack that we don't control. It doesn't follow all of these other options. So that one, like, we can not use it and not try to instantiate it by deselecting these, but there is still technically code in that could do that from there. I mean, there's also, this is just Python installed, so something could import requests, and you can't totally stop a plugin from being online. But so
it's not. It's all the network comms that we use.
Yeah,
I believe.
Summary. Yes. Other than QWebEngine. right? Yeah. Which and to be clear,
Yeah, QWeb Engine has its own.
and,
Yeah,
and Q Web Engine is going away. So the Qt6, in fact, at some point, I think probably here in the next couple of weeks, we won't have. We will
yeah,
only have
we're probably gonna
Qt6.
switch to Qt6 like imminently,
Yep. So like if
probably next week.
right now, if you check your update channels,
Oh yeah, Qt 6.1.1 was like just released. I think it was released yesterday or the day before. So we're gonna switch to that.
yep. So what is currently the Qt6 development build is going to go away. There will be no more updates to it, and the dev build, whichever, yeah, just dev builds will be Qt6. Will only be, we wanted to get basically a
Yeah,
full
they
sort of.
should firewall, but some people are just pedantic. Game
Yeah.
Mind asked if there's any plans for BNDB compression. So a little thing that I'm working on that is not ready to see the light of day showed about a 3x reduction in size of um, the BNDB,
Yeah.
and that didn't even include compression. So yeah, and that data was still pretty compressible. So like the new format that I'm thinking that we might go to, it's still in just very, very early testing. Like it could give us probably a 5x reduction if we actually gzipped it. Or
There is and there was some improvements actually. I think it was the last stable or maybe the one before that.
oh, looks like Piston Miner just dropped his change.
Oh, did we get a release
Yeah,
notification? Hey, let's do it on stream.
doing it live.
Wait, where's my mad rant? Something. Yeah.
No,
We're doing it live. No. Yeah. We're I appreciate Piston Miner. Yeah, that's perfect. I look forward to trying it out and putting through its paces. So, oh, and that does remind me actually, one of the other like forthcoming features on the redundancy checking is, again, Peter was saying there's no way to tell, and like ask pip, is this requirement met? So we're probably gonna have to do some more code writing than we would like to.
hackery.
Yeah, implement our own basically is this dependency met logic. It won't probably be perfect, but it should be able to handle the
I've
vast
got it
majority
written.
of. Oh, do you already have that?
It's just got to be wired up. Yeah.
Tested and yeah. Yeah, the secret updates will be, and the same secret updates that he mentioned earlier too, with database save and load, right? Obviously, it's like it's changing our serialization format, so that'll be.
Yeah, if I could speed up database serialization, deserialization by multiple X and get us like
Size reduction,
less disk space, like
yeah,
I would be very, very, very happy.
I think that's all the stuff I wanted to cover. If I missed anything, there was also a lot of documentation changes that were made. I was pretty aggressive this last release about anytime somebody answered a question and I couldn't link to an API doc or a user doc with the answer, I would then go add it and then link to it.
You want to talk about some of the fun things we're going to do for 3.0?
I think that's a good idea. Let's. I've done a preview before, and this is all with the caveat that one of our to dos after a stable release is that we take like a little bit time off, take like a week to relax, and then we have like a sprint planning kind of thing where we actually our milestone planning where we sit down and look at what we're gonna do for the next big release, and so there's some of this is TBD to get confirmed, but we've already got the label and the milestone and a couple of things tagged for 3.0 and a few other ones probably we could talk about that aren't on the list.
Like so many of these though are rolled up into the stuff that they're like downstream things from UI enhancements.
Yeah.
Like
there will be a lot
we tend to like whatever Rusty's working on is actually he like gets to close one issue, but like it's actually like 50 issues. um, but yeah, the major visual thing is we're kind of going to do an overhaul of the user interface. The main thing is that we're going to add a sidebar, because a lot of your tasks that you're doing are like you're in different modes when you're using the UI. You don't need to see everything all the time.
I bring up Visual
right?
Studio Code when I
Like
explain this to people. I always bring up
Visual
code.
Studio Code is a great example.
Definitely an
And
inspiration.
we love their kind of design paradigm, and we try to emulate it a bit. So, Visual Studio Code, like frequently you're searching, and so you have this sidebar that has all of the search things in it. But when you're searching, you're typically not debugging, right? So those are two different modes. And so the way we have it now is we use these dock widgets, and the dock widgets are like, they kind of have to be always around all the time, and that's not a great, you don't have different modes of doing things when
Well,
you have dock widgets. They're just like
you're juggling
always
them. You're
there.
turning them on,
You
you're
just
turning
have
them
to
off.
juggle them
You're
around.
trying
Yeah.
to, yeah.
You turn them on and off. You move them around. But what we're trying to do is figure out, like, okay, what are the distinct things that people are doing? Okay, people are changing settings. So, like, you're not going to be changing settings and worrying about like what the graph layout looks like. So like, why would you like be displaying a graph while you're changing settings, right? Something like that. Or why, if you're debugging, you're probably not going to be searching. You really care about like, what is the code doing that's right around where the current execution
But you do care
is
about
happening.
memory state, register state,
Right.
breakpoints, stuff like that.
You care about this
Yeah.
other set of things. And so a sidebar gives you the ability to like have different modes of user interface, right?
And the file explorer here is actually another really good example too, because we still like our sort of default UI right now, right, where we have symbol list and the cross references is not something we want to go away from. I think that's still a good the default view. Yeah, a lot of people are just going to want to leave up for most of what they're doing, and that's we want to encourage that. But if you look, like, there's already this sort of like paradigm of like, I've got a panel, it's the open editors one, and which is actually fairly analogous to a list of functions, right? Like the things that I want to kind of explore. Although actually, some IDEs will actually have it more like this, like outline based, right? But the idea is you could have cross references down here, you can have list of functions up here, and it's still going to look a lot the same that you have now. But then when you look for persistent search results, maybe you're going through here. Like, you don't need to see the function list when you're going through persistent search results, because the search results are in different functions. It's like that's you don't need to see the sidebar. You're going through them there. So yeah, I think that's I think it'll work really well.
So yeah, you shouldn't expect a complete overhaul. Just better ability to have side by side content.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the big things, and better support for like, oh, I'm debugging, and now I'm searching, and now I'm installing plugins. Like, these different modalities that you want to use in the UI. That
another one that I think has come up is like types, right? You don't need the whole screen usually to edit your types when you've got a code or linear. So you can have a third of the window as your type editor, and it's just a lot nicer instead of switching back and forth to the types view. Yeah, exactly. List of strings, like you can see them over here, and then you can navigate to one and go to the high level IL or low level IL or assembly or whatever you want to look at. So I think those
But
those
you,
will work
you know,
better
you
as.
still want to see your cross references to your strings, and you still want to see your
Yep.
cross references to your types. Like, so we've got to, kind of take all of these things into consideration as we're fleshing out this new
Another
UI concept.
another
So
design.
yeah, so like, if you like the way the UI is, good.
Don't freak
It's
out.
gonna, yeah, it's gonna be similar, very similar, just better. Like,
And
and with a sidebar, we will take up some permanent horizontal real estate, but honestly, you have more horizontal real estate than you have vertical real estate. So
well, it's dead space.
um yeah.
Yeah, already I've got a third of my monitor empty over here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and one of the other ones is one of the other design criteria is it will be either automatic or incredibly seamless for existing dock widget plugins too. We're not gonna do
Yeah, that's
away
another
and
thing.
make everybody do a whole bunch of work to refactor to work. Like if you want to be a panel and you want to work in a particular way, great. There will be new APIs and paradigms for that.
Yeah.
But it is also a design goal to like make it a trivial or like no changes required to work with the existing system. So that's another big thing
Yeah,
to walk
so
over.
other things that we wanted to do, the API is definitely getting type hints, and I'm trashing any Python 2 code that I come across. Like,
You've been
it's
ripping
not going to
things
be
out.
any
Yeah.
Python 2 cruft left over. And type hints are a beautiful thing, and I'm just loving them more and more. Just
Yeah,
like being able to mouse over in VS Code and say, "Oh, it's returning this type. I know what to do with it."
Piston Miner, I already got my context menu reorganization in. It was just not quite as aggressive as I originally
Gonna redo
planned.
it again.
I'm okay with what we have now. I'm not against. We hashed it out, and I think what we have now is, I mean, before it would literally be more than my full page width. It is much cleaner, um, and I'm okay. Like I don't feel the need to bury all function things
Yeah,
inside of the
we
seven
were
here. As
talking.
was before.
We consistently reference that internally, like, oh, this needs to be a new
Yeah, it's a running joke of, oh, better add that to the context menu. Let's make
yeah.
it really big again then. Good, yeah. So if you like everything that's in here, then don't be afraid of any of it going away. I mean, at some point we might have to revisit it, right? This is inevitably we do add more and more UI things, and so I do think it's important to revisit it, and maybe you have to make it customizable or something else happens. But if you ignore it, you get a context menu that wraps around the screen again, which helps nobody. So hopefully we'll keep that under control. The decompile to C has already had tiny bits of progress. Like that's already underway. I saw a screenshot of that earlier today.
Yeah, we're probably not. The first iteration of this probably isn't going to have an API. Like HLIL has the API, so like, yeah, like if you want to decompile to C, it's just going to be like, all right, here's your C style casts. Pretty much everything else is the same. We have figured out what the hardest part probably is, and that is that HLIL does allow return values, multiple return values. So like, how are we gonna possibly work that?
Great temp structs or something, or
yeah, it's a little like we could do it, but then it's kind of weird. Like if you want to operate on if you want to always use C, the decompiled C view, then when you change the type, like
I lost you. I think I lost you a little bit on your.
So like,
You're gonna have to repeat that sentence. I think we lost a little bit of your audio.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just saying. Decompile to C returns multiple, or sorry, HLIL has multiple return values, and so figuring out how to do that is problematic. Do people actually use GNU style
These are what you get.
braces?
Here's your braces. You're gonna like one of these braces. That's what you get for braces. Exactly. Here's what you get for your braces. I yeah, I don't think actually anyone seriously requested that, and I'm not sure you are either, Ninja. But if you are, let us know. um,
Um, so piston miner, that is a good point. Frequently
multiple return.
when we see multiple return values, um, it is bad analysis, but fixing all of the bad analysis is like a much we would still need to be able to deal with um, what happens when a function actually returns more than one thing. um,
Especially if we're gonna make the decompile to see
yeah,
like an interactive experience, right? If it's just like a
yeah,
export, sure, that's one thing, you can hack it. But if you want to make it round trip or be a view that people
yeah.
can use,
There are
it's
some
harder.
bugs that cause multiple return values that I hope to have fixed before 3.0. So we'll see.
All right, let's back to our list. Let's see. Analysis passes. We already talked about a little bit. That's a major
Yes.
new feature.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I mean, the analysis passes, the UI enhancements. 3.0 is gonna earn the name. I think. I think it's definitely gonna be worthwhile. Is there any other major? I mean, Stack View isn't. That's another one that's gonna live on the major list. I think
I'm
for
gonna have to
changelog.
drop off pretty soon, by the way.
Yeah,
So
no worries, no worries. I actually may not go any further either tonight. We may save Binary Ninja Basics for next time. I am prepping for vacation, so I gotta make sure the kids haven't burned the house down. At least this room is fine. Type level, yeah. I don't know if I see anything else that. But yeah, I think about like half a dozen of these are really just all subsets of UI refactor.
yeah, we've got so many commits that are like large and waiting to land right now. Like there's so much of the analysis passes that are just kind of waiting to land. It's like all been done. The debug info stuff. Like I've got
Oh right,
like
debug info.
I've
Yeah.
probably got 5 different PRs that I just haven't gotten a chance to review yet.
Yep.
Um,
Piston Miner, that issue on type libraries is not for MSVC, I believe. I think these are more for. Well, the issue is for some of
but
those, but
we're getting cough support. Like that's another PR that's like
waiting to
pretty
be reviews.
much
Yeah, just
done,
about.
ready
Yeah.
to be, and that cough support is a prerequisite to MSVC TagPlib. So yeah, that's probably the next thing I'll have Galen work on. Well, I've got my girls
Cheers.
home, so
Go hang with the family.
I'm gonna.
Are they gonna come on stream?
All
I
right,
can hear 'em. All right.
bye everyone.
Good to see you. Oh, we saw Stella. See you, Peter. See you, Stella. So, yeah, like I said, I think originally I was planning on doing a Binary Ninja Basics, but I just have a lot of stuff going on. So, thanks everybody for hanging out. I'm really excited. 2.4 I think is a great release. And there's a lot of nice little quality of life things in there. A lot of nice new features, and again, looking at 3.0, there's going to be even more. So at first, we actually were originally debating. We knew 3.0 was, or the UI overhaul wasn't going to quite hit this, and we're like, do we extend the release and make 3.0 this thing? And then we actually looked over the changes that we'd already done, and we're like, man, we have more than a full release already, so we're just going to do this as 2.4, and we'll have 3.0 be the next one. And yeah, with debug info, if Peter's secret database thing hits, cost support, MSVC type libs, analysis passes, UI overhaul, like 3.0 is in the first month is already going to have a ton of major stuff. So we're pretty excited. If you have an API you want to see break, now's the time as well. So that's another key thing to mention. For 3.0, that's a good time for us to hurt backwards compatibility, right? So we want to always be, if there's a time to change something, that's the time to do it. And so if you've got something that you think could really use improving the API and would break backwards compatibility, let us know. As an example, we have a lot of things in the Python API that are just lists that could be iterators instead to be much more efficient, depending on your application. So bb.functions is probably a canonical example. So we've been talking about, do we maybe just make that an iterator? You lose the ability, bb.functions sub-zero, you can't do anymore, but you gain performance as a result. And you can always just, call next on it to get at the single first instance, or, there's a lot of other advantages to doing that. But it might break some plugins, some APIs. We're not afraid to submit PRs and help people on the plugins, and hopefully, I think it forces a healthier ecosystem that we're willing to keep things improving. But love to hear y'all's feedback on that as well too. So feel free to email us or Slack or mention chat. Any other questions or stuff to chat about before we sign off for the evening or morning, as the case may be, wherever you're at? I'm looking forward to a vacation next week, like I said, so I'm taking a week off. But no, Piston Miner, that'll be done like here. Hold on. Let me kick that off now. So ETA, so GameMind, we have a sort of set schedule. Our releases try to be quarterly, so expect it to be about 3 months from now. So we try to do once every 3 months. We aim for about 4 a year. That said, we'll push them up or back weeks at a time if we need to. We're not like gonna hold ourselves to that strictly, but we generally kind of aim for 3 releases a year. So I think we already have a specific date in the UI, but that can change. So like I said, 2.0 was actually labeled as, I think, Wednesday this week, and we shipped it Thursday. Oh, that's funny. Never mind. I was gonna say just look at the issue, and then I realized that still had the old date on it. Yeah, we'll update that date when we have our, like I said, we do our like milestone planning as a team. Week after next, we'll go through that. So thank you for asking. We will hopefully we'll get updated. But like I said, just add 3 months to today, essentially. We'll be pretty close. I have really seen that, it's interesting to see what percentage of our users are running stable versus devs. And I think there are a fair amount of people who live on stables. So it is important for us, I feel like, to keep a consistent release cycle so that they're able to get new features instead of waiting a whole year for them. They can get them quickly, but we don't have to do crazy amount of testing every week to keep something more fresh, updated. So I really like the sort of quarterly cycle that we're on now. And I mentioned this last week too. One of our other goals is, great timing on the BinDiff viewer plugin, Piston Miner, because I do want to mention that as well. I said earlier in the stream that the BinDiff for Binary Ninja 2.4 stable just got pushed. So it's another good shout out to Piston Miner for the BinDiff viewer plugin, which is a nice way to take, you can run bin export from Binary Ninja to generate a database that BinDiff can run on. It can generate a BinDiff, I forget call it database or what the right name of it is, and then you can view that in Binary Ninja using Piston Miner's plugin. So it is BinDiff viewer, and then I two-factor auth approved the commit, and it's live. So there you go. Thanks for updating that. I think that's probably our first plugin update live on stream now. Committing and pushing a separate two-factor auth. Yeah, I think we could improve the workflow, Piston Miner. I do think that could be a little bit easier. It'd be nice. And for people who are interested in BinDiff, we did cover it on stream a couple months ago, where I kind of walked through the process of running it. And you could hit the highlights of that. So Awesome. Well, again, thanks everybody for hanging out. As always, we had a good time with y'all. Oh, talking to Falk about segment versus sections. I talked to Falk a fair amount about random stuff. I don't remember the specific segment or section question though. I'm not sure which one. Open PR for, let's see. Oh wait, an open PR? Oh, no, for bin dip. Yeah. Sorry. I gotcha. Yeah. I do remember that now. Yeah, I think when I talked to Christian about that afterwards, he basically said, or maybe it was him and Brandon talking. I forget where it was, but essentially the context was, yeah, that probably makes sense, to switch it depending on what you're looking at. But um, I think that's probably the better way to go. I would probably test that out, but it depends on whether you're looking at more like firmware or file formats. So cool. All right. Well, cheers, everybody. Good hang out. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. Like I said, we're going to be off next week. I will be on the beach. I mean, I live on the beach, but I'll be especially on the beach, probably in a hammock with a book. So look forward to seeing everybody get back. Take care. Have a good one.